Why do we like to buy from who we buy from? It's way more than just the thing that I'm buying. But I think the psychology of what we're talking about right now matters. If we're designing and building exhibits for a particular audience, we know what the pain points are, things buyers are looking for.
You're not just catering to the normal process in the industry. You're catering to buyer behavior. People out there that are in the trade show industry, you have to do the best of your ability to match the expectations of the buyer and how they purchase things in everyday life.
You got to see the whole playing field and look for those touch points of how I can make that experience a little better for them.
Strong companies, lasting partnerships, powerful events. Welcome to the Experience Builders Podcast.
Chris, we get to have a fun conversation around sales today.
We do. Favorite subject?
What's the last thing you bought from a salesperson?
A $1,700 giant Adirondack chair.
From a salesperson, not from Amazon.
Correct.
Wow. How did he get you?
I called the company that made it, but I got the person in charge of sales who was very much a service-oriented salesperson, which I don't know about you, but I respond very well to that.
Well, I would ask why you're buying that, but it's pretty obvious why everyone needs one of those. So why don't we jump to...
the guy in the big chair, Khalil, really needs a big chair. Can we just...
Gosh. Okay. Well, tell us the purpose. Where is this going to be?
By the way, they're very uncomfortable. Adirondack chairs in general are not super comfortable. So a giant one, it doesn't really, it fits three of me in there. There's no getting comfortable. So you're not hanging out in it.
Aren't you just like perpetually leaned back?
You are. You're either sitting on the edge and I look like Ruth Buzzy from Hee-Haw, if you remember that old show, or, you feel like you're about 4 years old sitting in that thing.
Yeah.
But the purpose was, we made an investment in a place over at the beach, and I turned it over to a property management company, and they rented out some. 2 hurricanes in the last year. We lost some of the cool stuff that was outside. So rather than a big, expensive, giant European pergola that lit up and was electric and the louvers open and closed, we lost that. I was like, not ready to spend that kind of money again. But I wanted something cool. And so we said, hey, how about like a selfie station, like one of those giant chairs? When we see them at restaurants, like you're at a seafood restaurant ever, everybody always goes up and sits in it or takes a picture in it. So I thought that's cool. So, we have a name for the house and we had a graphic put on the back of it. And so anyway, don't get me started on what it took to get it over there and move it. It's 250 pounds. But anyway, there was a lot of stuff you could buy online. I really wanted something that was good quality. And I just needed to talk to a person. It was enough of a spend. I wanted to talk to somebody that could make me feel good. I didn't want to, order something and find it was, plasticky and, you're out near the ocean area and, it becomes like a kite that just takes off every time a breeze goes through. So anyway, that's the thing that just jumped to mind when you said the last significant thing I spent. And it was the salesperson that made me feel better about pulling the trigger on that.
Okay. How so? What was the conversation like?
Okay. So what are the dimensions? How heavy is it? What do the feet look like? I had a bunch of functional questions. So in my world, this would be the discovery call. And can I anchor it in? Do I need to anchor it in? Do I want to anchor it in? Or do I just want to be able to move it and hide it in a shed in a storm? What is it? What's the height? What's the width? How many people could fit in it? Do I have to worry about liability if, 4 kids want to stand in it for a family picture or anyway? So, they answered all my questions, got me online. I said, are there color options? They go, well, we can paint any color you want, but we have 8 standard colors. It's made out of wood. So I wanted that. I wanted the weight of it. It was pressure treated wood. Every single piece of wood, though, was routed on all the edges. So there was no hard, sharp edges or splinter type things. It is fully sanded down. So before it's painted. So, and I said, well, what's the assembly of this thing like? And they're like, we ship it to you flat on an 8-foot skid, and it will be in 6 pre-assembled pieces that you should be able to assemble yourself in about 10 minutes. And that's the only thing that sounded salesy. I'm like, really? 10 minutes?
10
I don't
minutes.
think that's going to be it. But to their credit, it was pretty quick and easy to put together. So I heard enough where I go, okay, I'm going to now, the other thing that I'm used to asking, because I get asked all the time, is what's your lead time? And I didn't want to wait forever. I didn't have a deadline per se, but they go, we're running about 4 to 6 weeks on ship time. And I go, any sooner? And they're like, 4 weeks. And I was like, okay. So they kept in touch. This is what I liked. Kept in touch with me, sent me some progression photos, which ironically, we do that with projects we're building for our customers. But I didn't ask for that. It was just, and they were an authentic individual. I got broed a lot. Bro, you're going to love this. It's super cool. Oh, your visitors, your guests are going to love it. Like, okay. So, by the way, name of the company is Colorado Chairs. Shout out to Colorado Chairs. If you guys want to check them out, you can Google them and see them. But this is all they do. They make stuff like this for ski and beach and, restaurants, that kind of stuff. So
Very cool.
Answered my questions. Nothing was unreasonable. I heard enough about the quality of it that I understood the cost. Because at first I was like, that's a little much. I could buy one on Wayfair for half that. And you go, but what's that look like? So anyway,
Sure.
it occurred to me, Khalil, that we bought a piece of equipment a few months back for the shop. It was another thing. It was the salesperson who came through that was an operations person, but now in sales. But they knew the machine cold and they could answer all our questions and told us some things we wouldn't have thought of. Anyway, so I just think any of us, so for Experience Builders listeners, if you're in the trade show and business event business, so much of us now are problem solving for client brand activations and events that it occurred to me it's me being a buyer of some odd kind of bougie thing, but it occurred to me we're all going through this on the supplier end, and it was a worthy conversation for us to have. And that's why do we like to buy from who we buy from? And I am here to say, and I hope you agree, or I think you would agree, it's way more than just the thing that I'm buying, right? Or the solution I'm buying. It's so when I started to go through this, Khalil, I thought about sort of 5 things that I enjoy. First of all, I make the decision of I'm going to spend about X. So once you emotionally make that decision, it's easier. Let me ask you, if your wife's car has a major mechanical problem and you're told it's going to be a $1,900 spend and it's a surprise, right? It doesn't feel like a good spend, right? We don't feel good. Even if you end up with a great mechanic and they're helpful and they're knowledgeable. By the way, my wife just went through this on an auto repair, and she goes, it was brakes, but she drives a car that typically they recommend goes to a dealership. And she goes, I don't want to take it there. It'll be so expensive. So she just needed rear brake. Started to have a little bit of squeaking. Thought it was rear brake pads. $749 was the quote from I was like, that seems high, right? And so anyway, she left the place, went to another place, and the salesperson was like, I totally get why you want to look around. That does seem high. It's only X, and he said about $500, but you're also needing this, and this. But here's what I can tell you. We use original equipment parts, so no aftermarket parts for us. You have a great car. So this is something that won't need to be replaced. Like a lot of cheap cars that would need to be replaced more frequently. I'm like, they're brakes. Okay. They're going to be based on how you drive. But he made her feel wonderful. He made her feel smart about cars, which is not an easy thing to do. And by the way, lo and behold, his price turned out to be $729. So it was almost the same, but she felt good about it. And you go, wow, isn't that the sign of an amazing salesperson? It sounds like she paid market price. So I don't think she was gouged, but she feels great about her purchase. So I think, again, if I'm going to spend $20,000 on a piece of equipment for the shop, I'm mentally there, and then I can sort of enjoy the things I enjoy. And for me, the first thing is, number one, the hunt. I enjoy, okay, I know what it costs. I've budgeted the money. Let me get online and do a little pre-qualification about what I see out there. So that I enjoyed that. The next thing is the deep dive investigation. And that's usually, for me, it's certain dollar amount means I'd rather talk to somebody so I can ask every question I have, whether it's legit or an idiot question. A lot of times a good salesperson's going to show me some things. I'm fine now with Zoom meetings. I don't need to go see that piece of equipment or even the vehicle. Matter of fact, my thing when I'm buying an automobile or a company vehicle, Cleo, I don't like to go see it or sit in it because I really do not enjoy that process at the dealership. There's a posturing, the finance guy comes in. We've talked about a price on the phone and if there's payments, what those might be. But then you get in there and you feel like you're getting shuffled or hustled. So I will do all my negotiating before I go. I'm only coming in for a final look and test drive. And I've told this story before, but great young guy at a Ford dealership. I bought a new vehicle, some years ago. It was stolen within 6 months, but I'm looking at Ford F-250 trucks, and he said, "Are you familiar with the King Ranch?" I said, "Oh, I'm familiar with it. I can't afford it." And he said, "Well, let's just take this one for a drive." I said, "Let's open the door and look inside." So he was on the passenger side. I was on the other. We're opening the door. And if you're familiar with that, the leather inside that vehicle is like, I can only describe it as catcher's mitt leather. If you're a baseball player, it's so soft. It's just so, I said, this is really, so I'm running my hands over the console in the seat. I go, this is really incredible. And this kid's like 26 and he goes, "Yep, you see that? That's called Castano leather. It's made from the testicles of young Spanish bulls." And I looked at him and I go, "Get the hell out of here." He goes, "Well, that's what the brochure says." And I go, "Okay, so," but I loved his authenticity. But I said, he goes, "Well, we can drive it." I said, "Why don't you run the numbers and blah, blah, blah." And I said, "I'm leaving and just email them to me." He goes, "Well, why don't we drive it?" I said, we don't need to drive it. I said, "If the numbers don't work, there's no point," right? He hated that he couldn't get me in that car. And we probably went back and forth for a couple of weeks. I didn't seem to be in any hurry. The more time he invested in me, the more his manager wanted to get me in and play. Anyway, I think that's, so those of us that are in sales, and if we're business owners and we're listening, we're all in sales to some degree. But I think the psychology of what we're talking about right now matters. If we're designing and building exhibits for a particular audience, we know what the pain points are. We think we've structured our company to address all those. We think our sales process, if you call it that, is actually designed to deliver the 5 things buyers are looking for. And, that's the guy like me that wants the hunt and the discovery, and he cares about the engagement and the authenticity of it and the happy outcome, whatever that is. So I don't know. Let me flip it to you. What's the last big thing you bought? Does any of this resonate with you on how you make?
Well, it's not the last, it's the upcoming. We're adding to the family. We're getting a minivan.
Okay. So you're
Yeah, we're going through
you're
that car
trading
process.
you're trading in your membership to PWV, Parents Without Vans.
Parents without
And now
vans.
now you're
Did you ever get a van?
yeah, it was a gold Chrysler Town and Country Limited. It was we
Okay.
got it when our first child was, you know, doors that electrically open on both sides.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's something for men in particular in a minivan. There's a bit of a it's like you go boat shopping and you're coming home with a 21-foot pontoon boat, and you went in for the jet boat, right, or the fishing boat or whatever.
See,
So,
I
but
don't feel that way.
man,
I
I got to
think,
tell you,
I mean,
man, they're incredible to drive. You feel like you're in the Starship Enterprise, and I was
you know,
hooked. And then you know what? I was ready to go until I hit a stoplight, and I looked over on this sunny day at the reflection in the strip mall I was next to, and I saw myself in a gold minivan, and I go, "Please, Lord, no, no,
never again.
no." But
See,
yeah,
there's people out there that have kids and so they get a minivan, right? I'm the kind of guy that has kids so I can get the minivan. That's how I feel about the minivans.
really,
Yeah.
you're not the
Oh
guy that
man.
goes, "Just stuff them in the back of the Miata. They don't need to be
No.
strapped in to."
Man, the
Wait,
sliding doors,
yeah,
we can go across the country and
yeah,
we've got everything we
yeah.
need. We can stow the seats and fit a full
Okay.
bed in there. Like it's my dream car.
All right. So did
Obviously, I
you?
wish they made them a little bit nicer. I don't know if you saw this, but Mark Zuckerberg custom bought. I don't know. He bought the SUV Porsche and then turned it into a minivan for the kid, his
I
wife.
have not seen that, but that
It's
sounds.
the coolest minivan you've ever seen. But
So
I
can I ask
don't
you,
have that kind of money.
how many places did you go, or how many did you test drive in your hunt for?
So you see, I'm kind of like you. I'm not gonna step foot in a dealership until it's pickup time. I'm an online guy.
Okay.
I'm gonna be pushing. I mean, we've been in the search for like 6 months, and we're probably don't need it until August. So we still got some time. But yeah, we're gonna ride this thing out, and we're gonna check the used market too.
Absolutely.
I'm not.
I'm a fan of pre-owned. I don't like the word used.
Yeah,
I call it pre-owned.
yeah, pre-owned.
But give
Yeah,
me
certified
something. Give
pre-owned.
me something with 20 to 30,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
I'm fine having that for 6 or 7 years.
Well, and the reality is the minivan's going to be a mess in like week 2. Like
Yeah.
crumbs all over the place. Like we
Well,
don't need
that's
new messy.
Well, think about what it. I think about when I was your age and starting family. There was nowhere near the opportunity to learn as much about the vehicles without going in that you have now. So you really had to go in to see it, to get all the data. I'm not saying there wasn't some internet stuff, but it wasn't just this, robust. You literally can be a product expert by the time you set foot on a lot, between
Yeah.
what you can learn from dealership sites, feedback from people that have owned, recall, repairs. You can.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think, to apply this to our audience, I think that buyers are used to doing that. Yes. Okay. You're in the trade show business. That's not the normal purchase necessarily of I'm going to spend 30 grand or 40 grand checkout, one-click checkout on the website. That's not the normal process,
Yeah.
right? But you're not just catering to the normal process in the industry. You're catering to buyer behavior. And buyers today are looking at reviews on Amazon and doing one-click checkout. They're buying everything off of the internet after researching it, after seeing an advertisement on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, right? And they're doing their due diligence themselves. And so when they come in, they may know more about something than you, or maybe not in this exact instance with the trade show industry, but they may know more about the car, like you said, than the person selling it. Hey, I'm here to see this exact model that has this many miles. I didn't even know we had that in our inventory, right? That's a common thing that's happening at dealerships.
Yeah.
It was literally just pushed on the website because we took pictures of it 17 minutes ago, and this guy's here to see it. I don't even know what he's talking about, right? With the people out there that are in the trade show industry, you have to do the best of your ability to match the expectations of the buyer and how they purchase things in everyday life. If you have as much information as possible on your website, if you're posting about things on social media and talking about the process, talking about the intricacies, if you have articles about the buying process of how to determine what size booth you need, of what, whether you should have the screens on your wall or if you should just go with a static image, all that information is going to aid people in researching and then going to earn their trust.
I was just
so
going
they
to say,
want to do discovery.
it's about
with you.
trust and credibility, right? That's you've got to provide lots of evidence that you're a trustworthy and credible organization, and the third-party endorsement still rules as the number one decision influencer. So if they can read about comments that customers have made, or literally if you go to our site, remember we don't work directly with brands, but if you do go to our site, there's hundreds of video clips about topics like this one, and you get a sense of, all right, these guys are not going anywhere. They're serious about being a really great resource. On every subject, you can search and look. So I agree. It's by the way, you just reminded me. So you're searching online. Eva bought her car from, what is the one that delivers by like car carrier? You can pre-owned. You can pick it from anywhere, and the company they literally will deliver to your house on I keep thinking Trivago, but that's a travel agent website. But it was our first time trusting. But she researched everything online, got to talk to somebody, and the deal is, you're buying a thing, but I think they moved it from North Carolina, showed up on whatever date it was, and provided it is what they represented as, you're on the hook to buy it, but you still can get out of it if it's got, imperfections somewhere that were not called out and disclosed in this pre-owned vehicle. And I'll be honest, she's been very happy with it. So, but it's just a change. I can't really do that for the trade show industry. By the way, my company, we're in the rental game. So the risk we have of being able to, offer too much there is if we really just, if you're not paid and somebody claims something didn't go as well at the show, once the show's over, there's no incentive for them to make it right. Right. So we worry about that. But
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Chris, and do a little thought experiment that I learned from Airbnb. So you went through your process, not the process, sorry, the elements that you look for in a positive purchase experience. It's the hunt, the investigation, that human interaction,
the engagement,
the salesperson, the engagement. So I want to talk about the happy outcome of taking delivery of that experience of, okay, I'm finally getting what I purchased, but for your industry. So can you define what the 5-star experience is of someone buying from Crew XP? What's the happy outcome 5-star experience?
Oh, it's great. I think the thing that I enjoy the most hearing, if I know I have a satisfied customer, if it's a 20 by 20 exhibit, for example, that we're providing, you want to hear people, it looked better than we imagined or better than the rendering. But I read an email that was sent to my Las Vegas I&D operations manager this weekend. And they said, I want to thank you. So this was a project we did, and it was for a partner whose client was there. They said, this client made it very clear that you guys were a huge part of the success they feel they had at the show. And I think it was the hassle-free experience. There was a couple of curveballs. You and I might call it scope of work change, but we're so prepared for those additional accidentals and the changes. So it's when I hear somebody acknowledge that we've done something like that, which to us is just another Tuesday, but for them, it was it was obvious that this particular client hasn't had that kind of experience in the past. So I think the 5-star for me is the rave from the partner, usually
Mm-hmm.
recommending or passing on feedback from their end user customer. I usually get
Okay.
some feedback from the end user customer, particularly on the move out, because my guys will show up just as the show's ending or a little before to check in. Any special attention stuff? Do you need us to FedEx anything out, your literature back to your office, split shipment, any? And they go, you guys have been phenomenal to work with. We'll be the first line that hears, did they have a great show? And they'll tell us that. But you're here and I get to leave and you're going to do all the little things I'm not sticking around to do. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
what we
So
designed and built, but it's so much more. It's the support services and getting them just taking stuff off their plate like that.
yeah. Okay. So maybe give it to me like you're training one of your team members on how to give the 5-star experience. For example, okay, I'm training my salesperson at the dealership to give the 5-star experience to Chris, who just bought a minivan. Hey, you're going to make sure that you've got both sets of keys ready to go. You're going to make sure that they have exact instructions on how to get the garage door opener programmed really quickly. It's going to be a quick video that they can take a QR code of and get it programmed
Right.
so they can use it right away. You're going to make sure that there's fruit snacks for the kids for the first time they get inside the minivan. You're going to have all the papers in one clean stack and only make them show up once to do signing for these closing documents.
Right.
You're going to give them the number of the person at the DMV or the tag agency to be able to get expedited access to get the license plate, right? Those so that's the 5-star experience of the salesperson.
Right.
So what's the 5-star experience for Crew XP on the 2020 booth? Yeah, go for it. Give me the rundown.
So I love this question. And I will tell you, the part I call the investigation or the discovery, that Khalil is
the start of the experience.
It's the key, because if we do a good job on that, they're going to tell us exactly what it is that's going to impress the heck out of them and make them super happy.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how a call might go with us talking to a project manager at a partner's office. By the way, this lady I'm sending in to you, she's very, very particular. She designed the logo, and it is PMS Red 184, not 185, which is Coca-Cola's. It's a little redder. She wants everything to match. We're doing the graphics, so I'm sending this in. But just know, she's a stickler for wrinkles in the fabric. She wants it to be, whatever. And she typically likes to be there because she likes to nitpick when she's there. If there's any way you guys can get an early jump and be pretty far along, I know she likes that. So she says she wants to be there, but she's always impressed when we're ahead of schedule in other cities. So there, again, you're telling me something there. You're telling me what the particulars are. So we'll say, is there any special attention items beyond that? Yeah. She's has to merchandise all her stuff. If you could plan to have one guy dedicated, once all those shelves are up, you could just help her set those things out. That would be a big thing for you. Here's the other thing. I know it's not the biggest booth you're going to do, but is there any chance you guys are out at the show every day? She loves it, loves it, loves it. If there's a daily check-in in the morning before the show starts. Okay, very good. Do we need to meet her there, or do we just need to leave a card with a cell number for the day of who's on call? She goes, no, you don't have to meet her. If you do, great. But yeah, if any piece of evidence there that you were there and checked in and are thinking about her, that's great. So my point is in that. So now all we have to do is create, the fulfillment of these special attention and special request items in the course of everything else that we're delivering. And it's not hard. By the way, we had a great guest on. She's a director of ESCA, Exhibit Service Contractors Association, Julie Kagi. Shout out to Julie. Their annual conference is coming up. Their summer conference is in 2 weeks. I'm heading out to that. She was on and she reminded me about, the natural temperature rise every exhibitor has because they're out of their element. She said, service is free. It costs you nothing if you're there.
Yeah.
So we spend a great deal of time prepping our guys into getting them ready for the VIP white glove treatment to be those individuals on the show floor. Service is free. Their temperature may be high. They're going to be nervous and uncomfortable. They're not going to necessarily announce it. So you be cool and collected. You over communicate the things you're doing. Hey, Khalil, I just want to let you know I'm heading to the service desk right now. I noticed the electricians haven't activated the drop behind the booth. I've got a copy that you sent me earlier. Let me go check on that and make sure that's happening. By the way, I'm going to stop and pick up a couple of cold drinks. Can I bring you back something? We comped you a mini fridge in your little storage closet on the end of the booth here. So we'll have that filled up before the end of the day. So when you come in tomorrow, you won't have to worry about water. And they go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool.
This is good. Okay, so I want you to put on there's no limits, right? Obviously, budget matters, but let's just imagine that there's no limits. What is the 6-star experience, Chris?
What is the 6-star experience?
The 6-star experience. So you just gave me the 5-star. What's 6-star?
Usually something has to be going wrong for me to
in order to be able to deliver
prove
it? Okay.
you that. For example, boss comes in, big boss, CEO, at 4 o'clock on the last day of install. Show opens at 10 in the morning. He's like, why is the booth facing this way? And my contact, who's been there for 2 days, has signed off on it. The main aisle is such. The problem is when you do that, you didn't know the exhibitor across the aisle had a 20-foot high wall that's blocking you, or for whatever the reason. But boss wants that thing lazy Susan'd 180 degrees. And he goes, I don't care what it costs. I'm not going to be facing a big black wall for the show. Right. And you hear that and you go, oh, and of course they know their boss, and we can tell by the body language of our contact in that moment. Right. So I'd say, okay, give us a couple minutes and let's huddle up here. And usually when we talk about it, if there's not this huge underground sea of Cat 5 cables, and if we're talking about just 2 or 3 electrical drops that we have to move and snake, the way we build, we can separate a tower from a discussion room or a kiosk from it, and we can separate components and slide things into the aisle and snake some cords if we have to, and tip and lift stuff on dollies and roll it back into place and move it to where we need to move it. And very often, a three-man crew, you'd be amazed at what we could do in an hour. And the boss comes back later and he goes, oh, okay. So now his answer is, oh, it wasn't that hard. Right? Well, it wasn't. We're just that good. But usually a 6-star experience comes from, I don't know that the CEO will give it to us, but the person who we just made look like a rock star to their boss. That's the kind of stuff, because now that doesn't become what their whole show is about. It faced the wrong way. Now they can still make the show what it's supposed to be about. That's one example of, I think, what has to happen for a 6-star.
So the next question would be to ask, what's the 7-star experience? And then what's the 8-star experience? You're killing me, Smalls.
I
know I am. And then the 9-star and the 10-star. But it's a really good process and exercise to work through, to think through how you can improve the experience for your customers. And the Airbnb CEO, Brian Heskey, I believe is his name, does a really good speech on this about the 10-star experience, and how when they were thinking about how to differentiate between Airbnb at this hole in the wall place versus this, this host who goes above and beyond, and how to distinguish those. You can't do that really with the 5-star rating system.
Yeah.
And so he talks about like the 10-star experience being that we've flown you in on your vacation on a private jet, and you're picked up by a limousine with your favorite influencers in the limousine to pick you up, and we give you a tour of the neighborhood, and we have bought you a whole new outfit for your trip to go and experience. And obviously none of those things are going to happen, but it just helps you to get outside of the box of what you're normally thinking about. And I think that's an important aspect of any salesperson and really any onboarding account manager, is you can get so beat down by the grind of just going from show to show to show and event to event and from client to client, that you just get stuck in the way of doing things. And that doesn't mean that you're doing a bad job, but it means that you're not maybe thinking about how to make the experience different for the next person and what their experience is like and what they would actually want or what would be meaningful to them. And so going through that exercise of what is the 5-star, the 6-star, the 7-star, the 8-star is a really valuable exercise in just thinking about, man, what could we do better for our clients?
So I'm writing a few things down. These are all things we've done. And by the way, if I have a partner that says, this is, a Fortune 50 company, we just got this account, we just need it to be amazing. So it may be, okay, we're going to start off with 2-a-day check-ins. We're going to open the show for you. So we'll be there 30 minutes before the show opens. We'll be there 30 minutes before it ends. We are chasing down and checking with the contact in the booth to make sure, what is it you need? Now, if they go, oh, well, we've got a mixer tonight, I've got to get back to the hotel and change. Okay. I've got a Yukon Denali parked on the dock right now. Why don't we just walk out that back dock door? I'll drop you at your hotel. That'll save you the Uber line. Oh, you kidding me? You can do that? No, it's right up the street. It's on my way. Happy to do that for you. So that might be one thing. Show ends. I noticed you've got these microchip products you said you need to get back to another show. Why don't I take the box? We'll take it to FedEx ourselves. I will personally put it in the hands of our regional FedEx office, which is right across the street from our Orlando facility. So happy to, can you guys do that? We can. Or is this filled out already with your air bill on there? Or do we just bill you for this after the fact? We can sort that out later, but happy to do that. And they go, okay, well, that's great. Restaurant recommendations. Where are you guys going tonight? Or do you need to where you're taking your clients? We know the towns that we work in, Khalil, we know well. And very often just say, okay, so you want Italian tonight? Okay. It's a great place in Las Vegas. It's called Nora's. It's just you and one client. Okay. It's tough to get a table. So if you don't have a reservation, it's hit or miss. But let me tell you something. Sitting at the bar is its own reward. It's a great people watching plates. Nigel's the head bartender there. Tall guy, red hair. You'll know him if you see the tall red guy. It's phenomenal what he does. They do great service. Tell him Chris from Cruise sent you over. He'll remember me because I was in there about a month ago, and 2 gentlemen from Kuwait met me, and they started bringing down every 28-year-old bourbon and scotch. We dropped $3,000 on their nickel, and they just included me. But he and I have had a laugh about it. So if you need to remind him who I am, just talk about, this is the guy that was drinking 28-year, Redbird or whatever. So whether they go or not, they just go, oh my God. There was one, I remember one female in particular, she goes, her friend had said, oh, she's had a tough run. She just got divorced. But she had asked me when we were signing off the night before the show opened, she goes, is there any place fun that I could go while I'm here that's kind of around the convention center? I said, yep. If you want to walk over to the Point, there's about 15 different restaurants. Blue Martini is someplace you will enjoy. And live music, great energy, blah, blah, blah. And I got a text from her the next morning, and it just said, thank you so much. That was the perfect, capital PERFECT, perfect place that I was looking for last night. And you go, okay, great. You get into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stars. I think we're getting into way more than what they hired you for. But you really have to become an ambassador of your town, or, you got to see the whole playing field of what they're going to be doing in the 3 or 4 days they're in, and look for those touch points of how I can make that experience a little better for them. So that would be my recommendation for anybody that's knows what you're talking about, and I get it. Now, if the answer is, well, how do we make everybody a 9-star? Well, it's hard to do, but we all know we have clients where you have to be able to do that. So
Well, I think this has been a really valuable conversation just about your buying experience and how you're meeting your customers even before you start having them as a customer, but as you're welcoming them into the experience of your company, how you can approach it, little tips, little tricks, and just the mindset that you need to have. So,
I agree. I think so much of us, particularly on our industry, the days of a commodity sale,
mm,
right, are over. It's really got to be a white glove, full service sort of approach to stand out in this, the sea of sameness, because everybody's up their game a little bit. So I agree with you that it's not enough to just deliver, the great product and service thing that they paid for. You got to go above and beyond that, and a lot of that has to do with the interaction before and setting the table and listening really well and delivering on what you hear them say, and make sure you are listening and not just selling, but discovering and serving. So, yeah.
well, we'll have to do one again to kind of continue down the line of the sales process and how to actually execute on these things. But yeah, thanks for chatting, Chris, and
Yeah.
hope listeners find value in it.
No, I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the Experience Builders podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content. Visit our website at crewxp.com to learn more about us. See you in the next one.